Hey guys, this is BiXX. Welcome to another Mentoring Monday. Today I'm going to talk about part two of a three-part video series on complacency. Many of these concepts are taken from Molly Fletcher's book, Dynamic Drive. In part one, I talked about what is complacency and how and why it robs you of your dreams. Today, I'll dive in a little more by talking about the different stages of complacency, as well as the triggers. Do you remember Blockbuster? Back in 2004, they had 9,094 stores and approximately 84,000 employees. And people globally generally regarded them as synonymous for movies and entertainment. They're a very global company. But 6 years later, they filed for bankruptcy. What happened? They got complacent. Lack of innovation, resistance to change, and a very low risk tolerance. Netflix and other streaming platforms literally put them out of business. In fact, Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million, but they declined. What arrogance. Complacency affects businesses of all sizes, just as it affects individuals. As soon as they start experiencing a little bit of success, they start taking it easy. I'm going to talk about the stages of complacency. Stage one is called drift. This is a place you sort of coast into, and you don't even realize it. You didn't really plan on getting there, but you didn't have a plan to go anywhere else. It almost happens accidentally. This is the easiest stage of complacency because it can look an awful lot like comfortable. Drift feels like the lack of intention and acceptance of the status quo. That's when the throttle is off and you start pushing your perceived limits. And you stop driving towards a better life. Often, success gets people comfortable. It's okay to celebrate success, but don't rest on your laurels. It's okay to rest, but it should be a calculated rest. For example, like going on a stress-free, recharging holiday to the beach or to the mountains. Remember, you're only as good as your last game, and what got you here won't get you there tomorrow. Times change rather quickly in today's world. If you don't recognize the gravitational pull of complacency, you won't stay in the drift stage forever. Things will get worse. Gradually, then all at once. Then you'll slide into the second stage of complacency, which is called decline. In the decline stage, you'll see different areas of your life getting noticeably worse. Skills you did not maintain will start failing you. Your health starts to fail because you did not put in the effort to stay fit. Relationships start to decline because you haven't been intentional about growing them in a healthy way. Your career could begin to flounder as others perceive you as you just aren't engaged as you used to be. It happened to me after I sold my business, but I stayed on to run the company. As you slip further down the negative slope, you gain momentum. It becomes harder to pull yourself back up. Then inevitably, the result is the final stage, despair. No optimism for a better future. No hope, no spark, no energy. Not because it's not there, because it's buried so deep in bad habits that it becomes a distant memory of what life could be, buried by blame and excuses. Do you see how this works? Complacency breeds more complacency. So much for all the doom and gloom. What can keep us from becoming complacent? Let's look at two triggers. Fear is a trigger of complacency. People often don't take risks or even try because of fear. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of failure. How many times do we think ourselves out of trying something new due to playing the what if game of fear? Playing the game of what if over and over. Another trigger of complacency is success. There is more pressure. That old saying, success breeds failure. And human nature tells us to take it easy for a while. I need a break from working so hard. I just did really well. Let me ask you a very difficult question. Do you feel stuck in life, personally or professionally? Stuck mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally, spiritually? Feeling stuck is normal. But what if I ask you, do you feel complacent in these areas of your life? The answers are not so easy. Complacency happens when you don't recognize when you're stuck or when you're not willing to do anything about it. You stay motionless. This is when we begin to drift. I'm going to go back to the triggers. So do you recognize yourself in any of these internal triggers? Limiting beliefs. You've created your own glass ceiling. Negative self-talk. Complaining or blaming. Low confidence or overconfidence. Fear. Feeling unmotivated. Inability to focus. Failure to follow through. Know a lot of people like that in the music business. Not taking initiative. Taking shortcuts. Low standards and expectations. Lack of curiosity. Playing it safe. Operating on autopilot. Those are internal triggers. Here are some external triggers. Do any of these apply to you? Your upbringing. Maybe you had a difficult childhood. We don't get to choose our parents. Environment. No support network. I can tell you with 100% certainty that to stay in the music industry, you need a great support network. Lack of resources. Lots of doubters and criticizers. Find a way to make them your fuel for motivation. Distractions like social media. Big distraction. So when you recognize these triggers, you can help yourself discover the root of complacency. For example, when I achieve some success, I know I have to work very hard to keep myself out of coasting mode. I see other people all the time achieve success, and they buy fancy houses and cars and start worshiping the brands while slipping into complacency. I know it happened to me. Complacency is no doubt a threat, but it's a controllable threat. Due to time, that concludes our talk today about complacency. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to discuss how to get out of complacency or keep from getting into it through a process called dynamic drive. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, it's never too late to reinvent yourself and get you out of complacency. Cheers.